Let me talk about a little bit what your perspective is on kind of how barbecue was when you started versus what you're seeing today. You know, what are some of the things that you've seen change, and what are some of the things that are still remain the same over the last 20 years since you've been in barbecue?
I think the ones that remain the same is that you really have to be on your game. And the quality has been obviously steadily improving over the years. The cooking techniques have morphed from the different tribal styles. So in barbecue, for people who may be listening and maybe not be aware of barbecue, there's a few different tribes out there. We have tribe number one, which is what we call the ultra low and slow. People who believe that barbecue is best cooked below the boiling point of water. So I call it the 210 and below, ultra low, slow people. Then you have tribe number two, people like me. I like to cook low and slow around, say, 225 to 275. Tribe number three is the HNF, hot and fast. They cook around 275 to say 325, 350. And then you have the ultra hot and fast, which is tribe number four. They cook like 325 and up, like those people who cook on cans.
Yeah.
And there's actually two variations of these four tribes. The tribes that cook direct and they cook indirect. So you can cook direct or indirect across these four different temperature ranges. For example, right now, the common winning method is everybody's cooking direct, right? Hot, ultra hot and fast direct. That's the meat right over the coals. So in the ultra low and slow, we get the what we call the pyrolysis of lignin, which causes you to have carbenols and phenols that coat your meat, resulting in barbecue. And then you also now have the hot and fast, where the fat's dripping on the fire. You get pyrolysis of animal fats, and then you get PCH coating all your meats, and it's a different flavor profile. So you got a bit of like a Burger King flavor together with a smoky flavor, and that's what's winning. So that's kind of the morphing that I've noticed the past 15, 20 years, is that we went from kind of low and slow indirect to more direct, hot and fast. And that's kind of the progression. And in terms of equipment, I think what's winning today seems to be cans. The cans are, for those who are not aware, cans are ugly drum smoker, UDSs.
Yep.
That seems to be the predominant tool that's winning. The low and slow is good, but the low and slow is not winning as consistently as the cans.
Do you think it's just because of the more intense flavor you get off of the cans, or the more direct cooking method?
The direct cooking basically causes the pyrolysis of animal fat. So when you drip animal fat on top of the coal, it sizzles, right? And then it vaporizes the animal fat, and the vaporization of the animal fat coats the meat, aka the Burger King principle. You know, the McDonald's versus the Burger King. So from the judging tent itself, the judges seem to be leaning towards that kind of Burger King type flavor on the smoked meats. It's just a matter of preference, and as a pitmaster, you should be able to adjust accordingly. You know, if you're a good pitmaster, I always tell people, you know, I can cook a brisket in 4 hours, I can cook a brisket in 14 hours. It just depends on kind of what technique that I'm using. I teach a class in my backyard, so I've been doing it for 16 years. I've done 300 classes, 5,000 students the past 16 years. I just cannot believe that people find my little backyard class from all around the world. So I always tell them that I'm here to teach you a method that's consistent, that you can generate great results at home. It is not the only method to cook barbecue, because if you go down Amazon, there's 10,000 books on barbecue. So when you come to my class, I'm just teaching you one method. There's 9,999 other ways. There's 7,000 professional teams. I'm just showing you one method. There's 6,999 other professional ways. So there's at least 17,000 ways to cook barbecue. So you learn one from me. It's not the whoopie-doo, beat all and be all. You know, it's just one way.
When you teach your class, are you teaching competition methods, or are you teaching anybody that wants to learn how to cook barbecue in their backyard, or is it a combination?
I live in a place on the West Coast that I have 20 million people, 150 cities, 300 cities, about 15 to 20 million people. So my demographic in my driving distance is primarily backyard people. There's only 7,000 professional teams. So if you teach a professional barbecue class, you have a very limited audience. There's probably potentially 7,000 students that you can get across America. Here in California, everybody loves to barbecue. We have beautiful weather all year round. So I teach actually a hybrid class. I call it a backyard class, but I actually teach you both. I'll do competition and I'll do backyard. So for example, I'll give you the brisket, right? The first thing I'll do is I'll show them a brisket trim for the backyard, or a restaurant or catering brisket trim. Then I say, do you want me to go further? And almost all the time, the students want me to go further. And they say, show me now. Okay, I'll demonstrate you how a competition trim looks like. We make an injection from scratch. And then I tell them, you don't have to inject, but if you are a competitor, you want to inject. What do you guys want to do? And almost all the time, the students want to inject because they realize that they came to class, right? And if I teach them black belt, but they leave my class with green belt, it's still better than me starting at yellow belt. And then they leave my class with white belt. Does that make sense? So I always tell them that I teach them everything I know at the highest possible level, and I give them options on what they can eliminate.
I love that thought process. That's really
so
good.
The basics are very sound. So that's why the class is so popular. I have a lot of 5-star Yelp reviews. In fact, Yelp actually called me, and they say, "How did I game the Yelp system, the rating system?" I say, "What do you mean?" He said, "Nobody has hundreds of reviews, and there are no 4 stars. They're all 5 stars." And I say, "Wow, okay. These are not my reviews. These are the reviews of people who came to my school, and they enjoy the class because I give them basically 20 plus items in 6 hours." So I call it a barbecue insanity class. It's like that workout you see on TV, the insanity workout. I have a barbecue insanity workout in my backyard because we cook 20 plus items from scratch. Every animal was basically sacrificed for their eating pleasure.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And if someone's interested, where can they find you, or where do they go to check out a class?
My website is slapyourdaddybbq.com. If you just Google Harry Soo or you Google Slap Your Daddy, I have like 300,000 plus,
and we'll make sure to link it up in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, you can find me on @slapyourdaddy or @Harry Soo, and if you just Google my name, it's probably gonna be the first 10 pages.
It shows up because I just did it.
Years.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one thing I was going to talk about is like if anybody has watched any of Harry's videos on brisket or anything, or been with him at a class, you definitely notice that you are passionate about educating people about barbecue. The way you explain stuff is so thorough and methodical, and I think it's your brain, your like analytical thinking brain. Not everybody thinks like that, but you're able to like portray that to people that makes sense, especially when you're talking about food. So can you just talk about that? Is that just something that comes natural to you, or how did you get started on the educational path of barbecue?
I think the educational path actually begins based on kind of your life cycle. So I believe that a human being essentially goes through 3 phases of life. The first phase is when you are between 20 to 40 years old. You may have just finished college and you go out to work. So when you're in phase 1, your job is to learn from as many masters as you can. Mm-hmm. So try to do different things to expose yourself to different ideas, different processes. Once you get to phase 2, when you're 40 years old to 60 years old, you take what you learn in phase 1 and be the best that you can be in the phase 2 of your life. Be the best cook, be the best pitmaster, be the best engineer, be the best doctor, be the best accountant, be the best father, be the best mother, be the best sister. Be the best you can in phase 2. When you hit phase 3, like I am after age 60, till you sunset from Earth, your purpose in life is actually to give it all away. Mm-hmm. Give it all away. What you learned and developed in phase 1 and phase 2, you have to give it away, because whatever you have, you can't take it with you. Mm-hmm. Right? You never see a U-Haul behind the hearse. Can't take it with you. Right? So you came to the world with nothing, completely naked. Right? And you collected all these things around you, and you think that you are represented by the things you own, by the trophies you won, by the money you have in the bank, the number of businesses you have, the number of trademarks you own. You are none of those things at all, because at the end of the day, you leave all that behind. Mm-hmm. The Egyptians tried to build the pyramids, but they got looted by all the robbers. So you can't take it with you. So what you can take with you or leave behind is something very priceless, which is your legacy and your knowledge, your purpose, your story, your community. That's all you can do. And I think
Yeah.
that once people realize that you live a temporary life, that means that all pleasure, all pain, all enjoyment in life will end. And to put it into perspective, your viewers will understand that the average man, you and I, right, Duce, we're guys, right, we live about 7 decades. If you're a woman, you're lucky you live 8 decades. So I always tell people that the way you frame your life is to ask yourself, how much sand do you have in your hourglass of life left? And what do you want to do with the remaining sand? Do you want to have negative energy, be depressed, deal with difficult people, and be at a job you don't like? So you really need to understand in life, right? It's so important to make a living, but to make a difference.
Yeah.
So the secret to a good life is just to remember 4 things, right? Do what you love. Do what you're good at. Do what you can make a living, and do what the world needs, right? So for me, it's like very simple. The reason that I do what I do and give my knowledge away is because at this point in my life, I'm in phase 3. So I'm in the sunset phase of my life. So my job is to give everything I know away. So I'm dedicating the rest of my life just to do 3 things now. I want to feed you, I want to serve you, and I want to love you. So that's why, any gig that I get today, if I say yes to those 3 things, I'm going to do it. And some of those things may sound risky, but I'm just going to go do it. When this lady in Singapore wanted me to fly there to teach her one-on-one, have you seen the movie Crazy Rich Asians?
Yes.
Okay, there are people like that in the world. So I'm learning to say yes if I can serve you, I can feed you, I can love you. That's the lens by which I try to live my life now.
Yeah. If the answer is yes, then let's do it.
Do it. Yeah. I even did a class in Mexico in the city of Culiacan. So as you know, Culiacan has a notoriety for certain kinds of activities. And I was there teaching a class, and I asked myself, okay, if I don't make it back, I had a good life.
Jeez. Well, Harry, this has been such a great conversation. Let's talk a little bit about how would you position, what advice would you give to people that are just getting started? They want to do competitions, but they really don't have any experience. Where would you point them?
I think that the first low-cost thing that you can do is to educate yourself.
Yeah.
And the easy way to educate yourself is we have this beautiful thing called the phone.
Yeah.
Right? So if you see in the movie The Matrix, right?
Sure.
And Keanu wants to fly the helicopter. Am I correct? So he says, download me the helicopter program. And later on he says, I know Kung Fu. So this is your little download device. And if you are a beginner cooking, learning how to cook barbecue, use this little download device to download the necessary knowledge. Now, having said that, I have to say that there are a lot of people who post online.
Yeah.
And not everything you watch and hear is real. Remember, right? Information is vast today because of this thing. However, truth is scarce.
Yeah.
Your first job, right, as a beginner cook or pitmaster is to get the information and figure out what's the truth. Because information is out there. And there are many people on social media who claim that they know how to cook barbecue. And they have millions of followers. But if you examine what they do, I'm not sure that that's the best way. Okay?
Sure.
No names mentioned. I think that the reason I get a lot of views on my website, people know that I'm legit. I have a track record, right? That when I tell you that this is what I do in competition, it's not because I say it's good. It's because I gave you the 24 strangers, right, behind the tent. And among all the numbers they put down, they decided that particular combination was the best that day.
Right.
So it's done in the double blind setting, which is, in my opinion, more objective and more fair than somebody saying that, hey, I know how to cook, follow my recipe, it's going to be good. So I think the first thing is now educate yourself. The second thing I recommend them to do always is, if you can, go learn to become a judge. Go to the judging tent and eat some food. Talk to the other judges. The third thing I recommend they do is go to a contest and introduce yourself to the teams. And we are very friendly people. So go up to the team and say, hi, my name is John, and I'm new to barbecue. I just came to this event to learn. Can you tell me a little bit about what cooking is like, and learn from the teams? Yeah. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to practice at home, to practice your recipes. And if you can, also enter like a backyard contest.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you can get the baby step.
That's a beautiful recipe to get started, for sure. The only thing
Harry's
I would
5-step recipes. Just five steps.
Yep. I think that there's so many teams. If you take a quality class of someone like yourself or someone that's established within barbecue, you can move light years ahead of just trying to figure it out by yourself. Yes, like you said, there's a lot of information online, but it's one thing when you're hands-on with a person that actually knows how to do it and actually has a track record of winning. So those are all very good advices.